Welcome to RetroLogic episode 67. I'm Dan Caparello here with John Cummins and Sam Wagers. Guys, I was in a Twitter conversation tonight, and it's been bugging me. Is Zelda an RPG?
I think not, but
Nope.
I really don't want to go into this can of worms again because RPG without something else affixed to it is a meaningless label.
Well, but here's my thing. Here's when you say, is XYZ an RPG? You're asking me, is it an RPG? Is it a role-playing game? Like, is it not, does it have elements? Not, is it an action RPG? Not, is it a turn-based tactics? Is it an RPG? And my, gut reaction to that is absolutely not. In what way is Zelda an RPG at all?
I mean, if you take the definition of an RPG literally, like where you're playing the role of a character in a game, yes, Zelda's an RPG because you're playing the role of Link and you're making decisions for him and you're doing things.
But
that's also every video game.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. That would make every video game an RPG.
No, but that's my problem, is that it's not an RPG because the name RPG doesn't just mean role-playing game. It means that there is no physical ability having to be put forth by me to be able to be this character or to do what this character can do. And that comes from Dungeons and Dragons. That comes from D&D. All I have to do in D&D is talk and roll dice. I don't have to press a button at the right time. I don't have to put my shield up with the L trigger. I don't have to run with the control stick. I don't have to do any Twitch gaming or any reactionary things. I can be purely intellectually involved in the game, and that's a role-playing game. And most video game RPGs, like turn-based RPGs, kind of follow that formula because in a battle in an RPG, you're taking turns. So I can sit there for an hour and decide what I want to do, decide to swing my sword, right? I don't have to dodge an attack.
Well, then you just eliminated action RPGs from the RPG genre.
Yes, I did, because it's an action RPG.
It's still an RPG, though. You're still playing the role of a character.
Sure.
That's my point, is there are no just plain RPGs.
So now my question is, are there enough RPG elements? What is an RPG element? An RPG element is there's stats, there's leveling up, there's XP, right? How many of those things are in The Legend of Zelda?
It depends on which one you're playing.
There's HP, there's hearts.
There's in Legend of Zelda 2, you gain levels.
Okay.
Points,
well, Zelda 2 is the exception because it's the only one that does that. Right? Like Ocarina of Time. Is Ocarina of Time an RPG? And listen.
I'm with you. I say no.
Listen to the question.
I don't think so either.
No, it's not.
But I mean, when
it's an action
people
adventure,
expand the term to mean just about anything, I can see why they wind up there.
Maybe. I'm talking I don't even think that's true, but I will concede to somebody with this conversation that it's an action RPG is to shut them up. But it's an action adventure game. There's so few RPG elements in The Legend of Zelda, in Ocarina of Time, that I'm how do you even, where do you get off? Anyway. RetroLogic isn't just a podcast; it's also a community.
An argument.
You could go to retrologic.games, check out our community, and there's what do we do there? There's giveaways. We have conversations like this one where we decide whether Zelda is an RPG or not. That's just a taste of the roaring, boisterous conversations you can have in the RetroLogic Discord. So. Did I mention giveaways? Every week, every Friday, we do Free Stuff Friday, and you can win something. Video games. Last week, I gave away 2 Game Boy Advance games. 2 of them. Which games? I'm not telling. You got to join to find out. Also, housekeeping. Odama-rama is finishing up this week. As January comes to an end, we are finishing up our playthroughs of Odama. Hopefully, you beat it. I did not. I really tried that first boss, and I'm just I give up. I'm not going to try
tapped out.
Hard tapped out. But and actually I forgot to ask you guys this. Are you guys free on Thursday the 3rd? of February at night.
Should be.
Anything
I assume it's going to
past-
be at least this late, so yes.
Yeah, we'll probably start at 9. So February 3rd, Thursday night. More details to come, but next week on Thursday, join us if you're in the Discord community. Join us for our Odama community podcast. You're welcome to come chat with us. We're going to record it. We're going to release it as a real podcast, and we're going to talk some Odama. Also, beginning in February, we're going to be doing Breath of Fire-bruary, where you have the choice to play any Breath of Fire game you want. The first 2 are on the Switch, on the NSO Super Nintendo app. The third one is inexplicably unplayable unless you have a PSP, a Vita, a PlayStation, and the game, which is like a $70 disc. Good luck with 4. I don't know what to tell you. And then there's that PS2 game that nobody wants to talk about. But you can play any of them, however you want to play them. I hope somebody chooses to play 3 or 4, because I certainly will not be spending the money to do that. John, you have a PSP, so you could buy it on your PS3 and transfer it over.
Is it on the... Yeah, it is on the PS3 storefront,
But you
right?
can't play it on your PS3. It's only for transferring to your Vita or PSP.
No,
There's
I
also
could do that.
There's also the PSP like disc version of 3, which I hear is very nice. So,
I'm not even aware of that one.
yeah. Maybe I'm wrong? No, I think that's a thing. Also, Polterguest, our friendly ghost who plays Price is Retro with us. I have stickers featuring him burping the number 300. They're rad, they're 90s themed, and you need one in your life. They will go on sale sometime this week or next week. They're in. I'm holding one in my hand right now, but I don't know when it's going up. So just, stay tuned to the Twitters and all that, and I'll let you know probably by next week.
Breath of Fire 3 is on PSP, and it's actually not. It's $30.
If you don't
not bad at
buy
all.
one by the end of this show, I'm going to be very surprised.
I'll
Guys.
have to find it.
What have you been playing? What did you buy this week? And so let's do that. Sam, go ahead.
So this week I picked up Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo for the PlayStation 1. This is like a very like Puyo Puyo or Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Any of those like color matching to form chains puzzle games, but it features characters from Street Fighter and also Darkstalkers, because I guess that was big at the time. Kind of has a unique little twist on it, but it's quite fun. I'm not very good at it. I tried to do the street puzzle mode, which gives you like special objectives to unlock different things. It's also how you unlock the 4 hidden characters. So I tried to beat Akuma and I couldn't.
Still a good
But
game.
I beat the arcade mode on easy.
There you go.
Cool.
But other than that, I've been playing a lot of culdcept Revolt. I talked about getting that last week. I didn't have a chance to play it until this week, and that game really just sucked me in. It is basically a trading card game combined with Monopoly.
That's right.
So the basic rundown of it is every turn you draw a card from your deck, which is a constructed deck that you can buy packs with in-game currency to add to your collection. You draw a card, you roll the dice, you move. If you land on a empty territory, you can summon a creature card there, if you have one. You spend mana to summon a card, and if somebody else lands on it, they have to pay a toll. They give some of their mana to you. Or, if they want to not do that, they might summon their own creature to fight it, and if they win, they'll take it over.
Whoa.
And that's pretty much the gist of it. You have other cards that do all kinds of things. The games can take a while, and it's very luck-based and can be really frustrating, but I don't know. I really like it. So, yeah, that's on the 3DS. Actually, probably doesn't even count as a retro game because it is younger than the Nintendo Switch. Came out October of 2017.
No way, dude. Wow.
And I thought this game had a demo, but it doesn't.
Can you still buy new copies?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think it's still for sale on the eShop. if nothing else.
It's $30 on the eShop.
Okay.
But I mean, the thing is, I picked up the cartridge loose for like $11.
Right.
Apparently, it goes down to like $5 on the eShop every once in a while. So just if you want it digitally, just wishlist it. Wait for a sale. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a series that really hasn't changed much. It goes back to the Sega Saturn, but only like 2 or 3 of them ever came out in the US. So the PlayStation 2 game, the Xbox 360 game, and this one, I think, are the only ones that got an international release.
Cool.
But none of them are expensive, at any rate. Yeah, and other than that, I've been playing more Spelunky 2, getting a little bit further in that, but kind of having a rough go of it. So I also played some Enter the Gungeon because it's nice to fire up a roguelike that I've already kind of mastered and just tear through it. Not so easy with Spelunky.
Right. That's all for you?
Yep.
All right, nifty. John, what's going on with you, man?
Oh, not a whole lot. I picked up your lot that had all the Game Boy manuals. Had a case for Mario Party DS. I'm going to try to find a cheap loose copy to put in there.
Not an expensive game.
No, I'm just trying to find it for like around $10.
Yeah.
Let's see. It also had a copy of No More Heroes and a Worms game. Which one is that?
Space Oddity.
Space Oddity, yes.
Very interesting in the Worms universe.
Yes. And I also received my Neo Geo Pocket Color console this week. All the games that I purchased have not made it yet. So I played around with the menu. I read my horoscope. Placed all the batteries and stuff in it. That's about what I can do with it right now. The clicky stick is amazing for anybody who has never played one. Like every direction has a click to it on the joystick. It's awesome.
They're pretty nice little systems, I gotta say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, they were. I don't think they were that expensive when they released either. It's just the library was not very big.
It's
Game Boy Colors kind of killed it.
Tough to compete with Nintendo. And then like I think the Game Boy Advance came out not too soon, like not too far after too. So it was kind of like
I think the original Pocket came out in 98 and then Color came out in 99. So yeah, it was right there with Game Boy Color, but I mean even trying to compete with Game Boy Color is a tough task.
Everybody tries and nobody can nobody can dethrone Nintendo. I can't wait for the Steam thing.
Even Gunpei Yokoi himself couldn't defeat his own creation.
Exactly.
The Wonder Swan.
The Wonder Swan, yeah, still didn't. And that never came over here, so
yeah,
he couldn't even get an international release on that. Anyway, yeah, Neo Geo Pocket Color. I'll have more to talk about when I actually get the games to play on it. I'm pretty excited. They should be showing up this week. And then last but not least, I received all the parts that I ordered from Handheld Legends to mod the Game Boy that I bought from Dan that had a dead pixel screen.
Yeah, dude. It looks beautiful.
I fully bought a IPS screen for it. It's slightly larger than the original. It's black and white instead of the green shades. And totally redid the shell so I wouldn't have to do any trimming or anything. Got a glass face. The covering for the screen is glass now, tempered glass. And I went ahead and bought I'm trying to remember, I think it's Clean Juice is the brand. It's a rechargeable battery that has a PCB with a USB-C connector on it to charge it with.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so now my Game Boy lasts I think it says it lasts 25 hours.
That's crazy cool.
On a single charge.
How's the screen on that thing?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's to the point where like the day before I got my old Game Boy out and I let all my kids play it, and they were like squinting and struggling, and
It's a struggle.
I was like,
Yeah, big time.
I was like, yeah, you guys like that? And then whenever I got the new one put together, I handed it back to them, and they're like, oh, this is way better. And I was like, yeah, this is what new technology is.
For sure.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was a good build, and I've been wanting to do one of those for a while. I really like the old Game Boy. And that's all that I bought, or all that I've received. Next week, if I'm able to make it to the show, I'll have a huge list of stuff. I've bought another lot from another member of the Discord, and a few other games just loose around the place. And then really the only thing I've played is Ghost of Tsushima. I think I've got 8 hours into it now, and that game's awesome. It's not retro, but
I gotta play that one at some point. Huge Sucker Punch fan.
I was really worried that it was going to be overly complicated with items and things that you collect. But as I got into it, it's very simple with its items. And I feel like it relies more on skilled combat than using the items anyway. So I don't know. It has a good mesh of everything. It's very well put together.
This is the kind of stuff you're missing out on if you're not in the Discord. Is people throwing their lots up on in the swap meet channel and picking up some cheap stuff. You're missing out. Join the Discord. So this week my copy of Kirby and the Rainbow Curse came in, which I don't know if I started it or whatever, but like a bunch of people in the Discord all bought that game all at the same time. What's the deal?
I think I bought it like a couple weeks before you did.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I
never bought that game, but I did play through the whole thing. I didn't own a lot of Wii U games, which is part of why I sold my Wii U. But I did rent a lot from the library because they were Wii U games, and literally nobody was checking them out.
Well, there wasn't a lot to play, so
always available.
Yeah.
No giant wait list for Wii U games at the library.
No, right. But it was, well, I mean, that's why when I got a Wii U, it was great. Like I didn't have to buy any games because they already had a bunch because they were already starting to get cheap.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but I put in like a deal to check out a book, and I waited like a year for it to come back. It seems like, because like I guess there was like 60 people ahead of me that had already requested the book. So yeah, like with a Wii U game, you're like, oh yeah, that's available whenever I want it. Let's go get it.
Right. So that came in. Metroid for the NES. Just trying to get all the Metroid games. Not looking forward to paying the price for Metroid Pinball. No, I have pretty much everything else. I mean that and Metroid 2 I still need, and
you have Hunters.
I don't have Hunters. I have like a really nice case and manual and all that for it, but I don't have the cartridge. And for some reason, finding a cartridge only copy of that game has proven to be very difficult. So I don't know what the deal is, but
you could always buy the demo like 5 times.
Have the demo.
Yeah, I think everybody does.
Yeah, everybody has 5 copies of the demo.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to be selling some more stuff on the Discord here in a little bit. So if you haven't joined yet, come in and check out what's going to be up for sale and also win some free stuff. I'm really pushing the Discord this episode, guys. I don't know what the deal is. Seth over from the All N Nintendo podcast convinced me to buy Balan Wonderworld, which I will play, and we'll see. He and I are fans of the weird, so he sold me on it when he said it's like a Dreamcast 3D platformer, and I'm like, okay, well, now you sold me. In that it's like janky and weird but fun, so I'm like, okay.
Well, and it was probably cheaper than the other 2 games on your list here today.
Yes, it was actually significantly so. And then I didn't really get to play much this week, just been really busy, but I am really close to finishing Skyward Sword HD. I just have to get through the final imprisoned battle, which is what made me quit when I owned it on the Wii back in the day. Like, I literally tried that boss a few times and said, nope, bye. Sold it. I was so mad. Because he's the worst part of that whole game. The worst. I hate those boss battles. That is all of it. So, why don't we play some Prices Retro? If this is your first time playing Prices Retro, this is how we play. I'm going to list off 4 or 5 games, and everybody here is going to guess how much the lot of games are worth in total. And then whoever is the closest to guessing wins that round. We're going to each do a round. We each have a list, so that's how many rounds we're going to do. There's only 3 of us, no guests this week. And then whoever guesses the closest on the most number of lists wins the episode. There's also the Polterguest, who always guesses 300. And if he wins, we all lose, and then we never do the podcast again. So we hope that doesn't happen. No, I'm just kidding. So you know what? I think I'm going to go first this time, because that rarely gets to happen. Let me just... where is the thing? Okay, so... my first game... so I have a theme as well. And these are all mobile ports of old games. Bubble Bobble for the Game Boy, complete in box. Resident Evil 2 for the Gamecom, complete in box. Street Fighter 2 for the Game Boy, complete in box. And Donkey Kong Country for the Game Boy Color, complete in box. Yes.
Shoo.
Yeah.
Sorry, could you run through that one more time?
I will run through it one more time. They're all complete in box. Bubble Bobble for the Game Boy. Resident Evil 2 for the Gamecom. Street Fighter 2 for the Game Boy. Donkey Kong Country for the Game Boy Color. Bubble, bubble, bobble. Bubble, bubble, bobble. Bubble, bubble, bobble, bobble, boo, boo, baboo, bee. That's the Bubble Bobble theme song.
I think I'm going to say 350.
350.
Wow, I was thinking exactly 350. This is awkward.
Well, you got to go one up or one down.
Yeah, I guess really under the new rules, that's really the only relevant thing is, do I think 350 is too high or too low?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go up. I'm going to say 351.
Okay. The actual retail value is $324.88, which technically
the Ghost got
technically
us
gives that to the Ghost. So
by 12 cents.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
Wow.
Ghost has a significant advantage at this point, guys. So we need to make sure he doesn't win again, because that means he wins if he gets one more win. Because there's only 3 lists. This is rough. I probably shouldn't have made a list so close to 300, honestly. All right, Sam, go ahead.
All right, my list this week is inspired by the weather. You'll see what I mean.
Oh my gosh.
I have Snow Brothers for the Game Boy, loose.
Nice.
Snow White for the Atari 2600, loose. Snow Job for the 3DO, loose. And lastly, Snow for the Dreamcast, Japan only, loose.
What in the world? Loose?
Yep.
This is
They're all
just
loose.
Shot out of a cannon. I'm going to say $100 because I don't know. On any planet do I know this.
I was thinking 125, but that's what we'll go with.
So the total is $402.79.
No!
Guess what? The Ghost just beat us.
The ghost
wins.
wins.
No matter
So
what.
this is a pretty funky list. Snow Brothers for the Game Boy is $82.50. It's not as expensive as the NES game, but it's still kind of pricey. Snow White for the Atari 2600 is $215.63. Apparently, this is like a prototype unfinished game, so it's one of the few Atari 2600 games that's valuable.
Thanks for that.
Snow Job for the 3DO is $99.99. And Snow for the Dreamcast is $4.67.
And how much was your lot again total?
$402.79.
I can't believe the Polterguest finally won. Actually, it is fitting. His stickers are available now, so he, he wanted to make a show of it. I didn't read my list off, my prices off, so let me do that real quick. Otherwise, future Flightsy is going to be mad at me. Bubble Bobble for the Game Boy, they're all complete in box. So Bubble Bobble for the Game Boy is $99.44. Resident Evil 2 for the Gamecom is a staggering $75.02. Street Fighter 2 for the Game Boy is $100 even. And Donkey Kong Country for the Game Boy Color is $50.42. Sorry, I missed that.
Awesome.
John.
All right.
Nobody else can win, but might as well let's do it anyway.
So I only have 3 games on my list today. And the theme with this list are all Pokemon-like games on the Game Boy Color. They are all complete in box.
Oh, nice.
The first game is Dragon Warrior Monsters for the Game Boy Color.
Complete in box, right?
Complete. These are all complete in box. The second game is Metal Walker for the Game Boy Color.
Metal Walker is a Pokemon-like?
Kinda. It's a collecting game.
Huh. Okay.
And you fight. So I counted in that category. The third game is Robopon Sun version.
Robopon.
For the Game Boy Color.
I like Robopon.
And if you guys have good memories, Metal Walker's already been used on Price is Retro at least a couple times.
Yeah, but the price has probably gone up since then. The way the market is.
Yeah.
I think Sam used it somewhat recently, like maybe within the last month or two.
Actually, it was at my local pretty recently, so I'm trying to remember what the price was. It was loose, though.
Yeah.
Sam, you guess first this time.
So I have a pretty good idea what the loose price of Metal Walker is, but I don't know complete in box. Let's see. I'm going to say $275.
All right, I'm going to guess $470.
All right. The price of my lot is $471.28.
What?
But doesn't matter because the ghost already won.
It matters to me though, because that was really close. That's insane. What are your prices? What are the individual prices?
Okay, so Dragon Warrior Monsters for the Game Boy Color complete in box is $131.60.
Mm-hmm.
Metal Walker for the Game Boy Color complete in box is $139.68. And Robopon Sun version for the Game Boy Color complete in box is $200.
That's
I would have thought
bananas.
Metal Walker would have been the most expensive one there.
That's bananas. That's got to be some kind of record. We'll see next season when Flightsy does the archive. But
yeah,
unfortunately,
you were $1.28 off.
Unfortunately, that does mean that Polterguest has won. So thank you for listening to the RetroLogic podcast. We are proud. No, I'm just kidding. What does that mean? What do we do? What do we do, guys?
I don't know.
I think that means I'm giving some stickers away. I think that's what I'm going to do. So if you're in the Discord, look forward to that. Anytime the ghost wins, I'm going to give a sticker away. That'll just be what we do from now on. Congratulations, Polterguest. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. We have some more games we're going to play, though, so let's do that. Not involving the ghost. We're going to play Blankopedia. Play a little game called Blankopedia. And how we play Blankopedia is hold on, let me read the thing. I'm going to start reading the description of a game from Wikipedia. As soon as you think you know it, yell it out. If you're wrong, I'll give the other person an opportunity to guess. If you're both wrong, I'll keep reading till someone else yells it out again. So here is the game. Blank is a 1995 run-and-gun platforming video game and the sequel to Blank, and the second and final game in the Blank series, developed by original creators Doug Tennapal, David Perry, and Shiny Entertainment. It was released
Earthworm Jim 2.
Earthworm Jim 2. I went easy on you guys.
I was thinking Earthworm Jim. I thought there was more than 2 games.
It was the last one. Hold on.
Yeah, it was a little thrown off, but I was like, I don't know what else it could be.
The final game developed by the creators Doug Tennapal.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, sorry. That's
Earthworm
fine.
Jim 3D doesn't count.
No worries. Let's do one more as I look over at my shelf of games and think of a game really quick that would be a fun one. Let's see if you guys can get this one. This is the good part of this game, is that I could just throw stuff up randomly. Okay, here we go. Blank is a 2001 platform party video game developed by Amusement Vision and published by Sega. The game debuted in Japan at the 2001 Amusement Operations Union trade show as Blank, an arcade cabinet running on Sega's Naomi hardware and controlled with a distinctive banana-shaped analog stick. Due to the discontinuation...
Is it Super Monkey Ball?
Super Monkey Ball.
That would be it, yeah.
Sam takes it again.
Sam's on it.
We killed the buzzer. You just yell it out when you think you know it. This game's fun. I like this game. You guys need to come next time with some Blankopedia. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do a bunch more Blankopedia. The Ambassador is back, you guys, with Explain Games Horribly, which I thought was really fun last time. Let me pull up his thing here. Okay. Games Explained Horribly. So, here's the first one. Activision reminds us yearly how much they want to shoot Russians. Call of Duty?
Call of Duty?
I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Is it always Russians, though? It's not always Russians, but maybe he's just being tongue-in-cheeky.
Maybe.
Number 2.
Maybe the original one was.
Yeah, a few of them were. Game 2. A creepy man with irritable bowel syndrome challenges kids to quick mini games.
WarioWare.
Yeah, WarioWare.
That's got to be WarioWare.
I don't know if you can get a specific game out of that, but it's definitely a WarioWare game.
Yeah. He gets pretty broad with it, which I appreciate. You shoot slugs and squids in a cave in hopes of seeing the protagonist in a bikini. Metroid, right?
Metroid.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's a good description.
Yeah.
And game 4, an Italian, his friends, and enslaved pets start a fight club.
Super Smash Bros?
That's got to be Smash Brothers, right? All right,
It's got to be.
So we guessed Call of Duty, WarioWare, Metroid, and Smash.
Smash Bros.
And we've got Call of Duty, WarioWare, Metroid, and Smash Bros. Good job, guys. Ambassador, Thank you, sir, for always sending those in. Those are fun. Those are fun to read at least and chat about and be silly with. John, you got a trivia card for us tonight?
I do. Let's one out of the random stack. Let's see how bad it is. Should rename this bad trivia cards.
I'll do it. I'm writing it in right now. Bad.
Okay. Skolas is a big boss that players would face in which video game?
Skolas?
Skolas.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I could venture a guess. Is it God of War? Or like Final Fantasy 10? Or 11? Or 12?
And I would assume God of War would have a recognizable
Final
name
Fantasy.
from Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Skolas. I have
Don't know.
All right, the answer is Destiny.
Somebody,
I was never going to come up with that.
Someone's screaming.
Never played Destiny.
Never played Destiny. I played it for all of 5 minutes. Next one.
So, yeah, I'm probably going to butcher these. Ornstein and Smo are two interconnected bosses that you have to battle in which video game?
I actually do know this one, Dark Souls.
Yes, you are correct, Sam. And did I say those correctly?
Probably. I don't know.
I never said out loud.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
someone just read them.
That wraps up the games section of the old podcast. We have a what?
I have a Spot the Real list.
Oh,
I forgot about it, but I just dug it up here.
Sweet.
So I have 6 games on this one because I thought it would be a little easy if I didn't add some more, but I had some fun coming up with it.
This is a Spot the Real
theme to this because these are all so it is Spot the Real. So only one of these is a real game. The rest are fake. I figured some of the fakes are probably pretty easy because I made these titles along the lines of existing franchises. So if you know the franchise, you'll probably know it's fake.
Okay, we'll see.
But here we go. So again, Spot the Real. Only one of these is real. I have Castlevania Nocturne of Misery, Kingdom Hearts A Fragmentary Passage, Armored Core 9 Breaker, The King of Fighters 10, Etrian Odyssey Untold 3, The Drowned City, and Tales of Suspense.
Okay. Like, I know the ones that are fake.
It's either King of Fighters or Etrian Odyssey.
It's not Castlevania?
No, that's not a real game.
Oh, that was one I thought was...
Well, that's because you're not the Castlevania guy.
Yeah, but I thought... Okay. There's one that sounds like that, though.
There is. It's very close to that. He did a good job.
Man.
I'm glad I almost got you.
So what are the... Can you repeat?
I have a habit of mad-libbing Castlevania fake titles.
Can you repeat, Sam, the two that John's talking about?
Which two is... I can just
it's either King of Fighters 10 or Etrian Odyssey 3.
Etrian Odyssey Untold 3, The Drowned City.
Okay.
King of Fighters 10?
I don't know if the Untold games made it to the third Etrian Odyssey game. Because I know those are the remakes, I think, or the updated versions.
I remember 4 on the DS.
I want to say King of Fighters 10, but I'm not a big King of Fighters fan to know if they made it to 10 on that either.
I think they started doing years at some point. So I want to say Etrian Odyssey.
Yeah, let's do Etrian Odyssey.
Yeah. Etrian Odyssey. Final answer.
The real game is Armored Core 9 Breaker.
Oh, gosh.
The rest of these are fake.
Get out of here.
King of Fighters initially named all their games after the year they came out.
Yeah.
11 is when they started using numbers at the end of the installment. So there is no King of Fighters 10. The King of Fighters before that, I think, is King of Fighters 2000 something, 2007, something like that. Or no, actually, there were a couple in between that just had subtitles. I think between 2003 and whenever
2011.
Yeah.
That
might be it. Etrian Odyssey Untold, you were basically right, John. So the Untold series stops at 2. Those are remakes of the first 2 games. They never remade the third.
That's what I was thinking, but I wasn't 100% sure, and it sounded better. I thought the Armored Core game was a different number. That's what was throwing me off.
No, it's called 9 Breaker because 9 Ball is a recurring character in the series. He's usually the final boss.
Okay. I don't know as much. That's the one.
Yeah,
that
as for the other ones, the Kingdom Hearts one actually comes from the name of a secret movie at the end of a Kingdom Hearts game. But it's not the name of a game. And Tales of Suspense, I just threw in there because it sounded like it could be a Tales game, but it's actually a Marvel comic.
Yeah, I know all the Tales games, and I know all the Castlevania games, and
I was
knew
about to guess
one of them.
Castlevania. that Sam was a very well thought out.
I had fun
good.
making that
Spot
one.
the reel. That was excellent. Well done. I hope everybody had home had fun listening to that, because that was well crafted. We are going to take a quick break at this point. But before we do, make sure you go check out the Prices Retro database, which has amazing stats on all of the Season 1 Prices Retro games. And make sure that you go to retrologic.games and check out the Polterguest stickers on sale soon. So we're going to take a break, and we'll see you in a minute with our show topic. Welcome back. Today on our show topic, we are going to talk about how to fix Pokemon. Now, you might be listening to this and saying to yourself, but Dan, Pokemon's not broken. And to that, I would say, yes, it is. And that would be the end of our conversation. No, but I just think that Pokemon has kind of lost its way as a series. As far as video games are concerned, I haven't been in touch with the card game or the anime in a number of years, so I'm really out of the loop completely. Can't talk about that with any sort of educated whatever. But the video games are where I started. It's where my heart is. It's what the podcast is about, and so that's what we're going to talk about. First thing first, you guys, what was your first Pokemon game, and what effect did it have on you? Did it get you into the series? Did it get you out of the series? Tell me about that, and I'm going to start with John.
First one I played was Blue version on the Game Boy.
Like when it came out or later?
Yeah, I bought it the day it came out.
Yes.
And I played through that game probably 2 or 3 times before I tried to complete a Pokedex. And then I got very close. I think I was like 3 Pokemon away from completing the Pokedex. And I was at a buddy's house, and his sister erased my game overnight.
And then you
while I
burnt
was
the house
sleeping.
down, and they deserved it.
Yeah, I probably wanted to, but yeah, it was. I remember waking up and like going to fire it up, and I was like, "Wait a minute, where's my save file?"
That is messed
I'm not in Pallet Town. What the heck is this?
up. Messed
Yeah,
up.
it was bad, but it didn't. It didn't stop me. I bought Pokemon Yellow the day it came out. Played through that. I bought Silver. I just kept going until I didn't play the Game Boy Advance games. And then I didn't really get back into Pokemon until the X and Y version on 3DS. And then I've pretty much played them all since then.
Rad. Would you consider yourself a Pokemon fan? Or are you like a casual observer? You think they're
I'm
fun?
more of a casual player now. Like I'll play through the story mode. I'm not as big on collecting. I don't have the time that a kid does to collect all the Pokemon.
Right.
And I find anymore that I'm not as drawn to the series as I originally was. I mainly play now with my kids. Like it's always a good game to play, pass on one version to one of your kids, and then you play the other one.
Yeah, for sure.
And they kind of play along. I haven't really felt the magic of Pokemon probably since the Silver version.
Wow. All the way that far, huh?
Yeah, it's been a while. I played X and Y just because I bought a 3DS and I was looking for something to play pretty early on, and I was like, I know Pokemon, it's safe.
Yeah. Like easy RPG, yeah. Okay, how about you, Sam? Your first Pokemon game and your relationship with the series, as it were.
Yeah, I started with Red. Shortly-ish after it came out, I wasn't too aware of, but I mean, this was when it was really sweeping the country at any rate. Probably not after it came out, but when it was starting to become really big. And this is when I was in first grade. So honestly, it is surprising I'm not more into Pokemon, because this was like the first shared cultural experience with other peers was Pokemon. But I pretty much kept up with this series more or less. I had gold version sometime after it came out. Sapphire, skipped Diamond and Pearl because I didn't have a DS. By the time I got a DS, the next games were nearly out. So I got really into Black and White, actually, when I was in college, because I had a roommate who also, I had black version, he had white version, and we had a third roommate who would help organize what we called gym leader battles. So he would, in secret, assign both of us a type. They would be types that don't have any inherent advantage against one another, right? So like poison versus water or something.
Oh wow!
And I would have poison type, and my roommate would have water type, and we would train our team over the course of like 2 weeks. We would build a team. I would build a team of all poison types. I didn't know he had water types, keep in mind. But coincidentally, I diversified as well as I could. You know, I put a Venusaur on my team, and that came really in handy against his team of water types when we actually fought each other. So that was a lot of fun. We did that like 5 or 6 times. That was probably one of the best experiences I had with the Pokemon games. And yeah, I mean, past that, I've kind of adopted the strategy of just sort of waiting out every other generation, because the games do get a little stale. I'm a little bit cynical of how they don't change much. I really don't think remakes are necessary, but I also don't like remakes, generally speaking.
Right. That's cool. I actually don't have any experience with Black and White 1 or 2 at all. That's the one that I skipped. I like John, was like the perfect age when Pokemon came out, so like 10, 11, 12, something like that. Blue, I got started with Blue. Like I think the day it came out, just like you, John, was like ready for it. Was reading about it in Nintendo Power, hyped for it. First, inexplicably skipped Silver and Gold. I don't even like ask me why. Don't know why. Skipped them completely. Then Game Boy Advance, all the Game Boy Advance, Ruby Sapphire, Fire Red Leaf Green, Emerald even, and then DS did Diamond and Pearl, and then skipped Black and White. And I don't think I was even really playing video games at that point. I had kind of fallen off. And then jumped right back in for X and Y, and had a blast with X and Y. And I think that was kind of my last real like great experience with Pokemon, because I bought Sun and Moon and was not. I think I dropped it pretty quick. I think I was just kind of like, and didn't really feel the need to finish it. And then bought Sword and Shield much later than release, so I could get a discount on it, because I anticipated that I probably would be lukewarm on it like I was with Sun and Moon. And then lo and behold, like I got probably 70-80% of the way through it, and then I found it boring, so I put it back down. Yeah, I didn't play the Hey You games. I do like the remakes, because I have nostalgia for those games. But I even skipped Shining Pearl, Brilliant Diamond. I'm at a point where my interest in Pokemon is I'm very wary of buying a Pokemon game at full price anymore. Like I might pick up Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl at some point down the road, when it's cheap, but because I do like Diamond and Pearl. But yeah, very, very wary of buying new Pokemon games, which kind of brings us to why the topic is here, because I have pre-ordered and canceled the pre-order for Pokemon Legends Arceus probably 3 times. Like once when it first was announced, and then I was like, this doesn't like like the visuals look kind of weird, so I dropped it, and then like some stuff came out about it that was cool, and I picked it back up, and then I dropped it again, and cannot decide. And so I think I have decided to just kind of wait and see what like people say and what critics say, and kind of try to get a feel for how the general consensus is before I pull the trigger on another Pokemon game, because this one is quite different than your average Pokemon game. But the topic for tonight, of course, is how to fix Pokemon. So first we need to figure out what do we think is wrong with Pokemon. Specifically speaking, like Sword and Shield, the like mainline series, Sword and Shield, would be the most recent ones. So does anybody have any initial thoughts? Like what are some things, like what's wrong with Pokemon?
The only thing I really see as wrong is that there's just too many. There's too many games. Yeah. There's too many Pokemon. And that's why I just wait out every other generation now, because I find that it's kind of like food tastes better when you're hungry, and we're being like force fed way too much Pokemon, and it's starting to taste pretty bad.
That's true. And they're long games. They're not short.
I think the development cycle is too short. Like, I think their idea that they want to put out a mainline game every other year and a remake every other year is just saturating. And it makes it to where neither one gets enough development time to be as good as it possibly could be.
Yeah, that's a good point. If they take the year off and actually put the 2-year development cycle in that they need, and don't split the team up, because Game Freak still makes these games.
Yeah.
They probably would be less kind of, I don't want to say gimmicky, but at this point it's a well-worn formula that they usually throw 1 or 2 new twists at that have gotten less and less interesting. Like what even is the difference between the Gigantamax and like
a Mega
Evolution? It's just the same. It's basically functionally the same, except you can throw multiple.
There are some differences,
Pokemon,
but I mean, I think the problem there too is they never really think through those little. They're always kind of a half-baked idea. They don't follow through. They never revisit it either. Mega Evolutions is one of the odd exceptions that stuck around for the next 2 generations.
Yeah, that's true.
I wasn't a fan of them anyway, but they didn't do anything to really change how it worked, which is also, I think, a problem.
Yeah.
But even stuff like, I guess double battles, that was a big thing they added.
I really liked double battles. And the thing is, double battles, though...
Gen 2, Gen 3,
yeah,
when they were introducing stuff like abilities, stuff like double battles, those did stay. Now we just get this extra stuff that we know is not going to return because it doesn't really need to be there in the first place.
And the thing about double battles was that it was not like a main, like in-your-face gameplay mechanic that they advertised a lot. It was like this cool extra thing that you got to do sometimes, and it was like a nice change of pace.
I actually think double battles are still kind of underutilized.
I love
them.
Games. Yeah, they're great.
You really don't. I mean, there will be the random pairs of trainers that'll fight you in a double battle, and sometimes you're like, oh, I didn't realize I needed to think about what my second member of my party was. But it just usually doesn't mean anything. At least back in like Gen 3, there was the one gym leader that was like a duo.
Yep.
That was cool.
So that was at least somewhat significant. But later they did triple battles and the swap battles. And I think that was both in black and white. And they never brought those back, to my knowledge.
So one other thing that I find to be a challenge for Game Freak and for us as players is dealing with as a byproduct of having so many Pokemon, we are now seeing kind of how limiting that can be when you start having to remake every Pokemon as 3D models.
And the backlash.
And they weren't supposed to. They were supposed to be, creating reusable assets, and there's a lot that goes into that. Obviously, there's things they could have done better. I'm not the sort of person that's really going to care all that much if visuals aren't what I think a AAA game is supposed to look like. Mm-hmm. But I do think it's a fair point to say, okay, if you can't make every Pokemon in the game look like they do in Pokken Tournament, say, for example, because that's the only real example we have for specifically Pokemon, how they might look with, high fidelity graphics. I understand that's probably not doable with that many Pokemon, but show us what else you can actually do. Don't just kind of... And I think some of the problem is, like, they're still in the mindset of making 3DS games. They're still in the mindset of making handheld games. Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a big problem. They never had to create a console game experience before. They were always kind of limited by what the console they were making games for could do, which made it to where they didn't have to have as big of teams, I don't think. And now that they're on the Switch and it's capable of more, they're being asked to do more, but I don't think they were necessarily ready for it, especially whenever they're making, this came fresh off of another 3DS game like 2 years before Sword and Shield came out.
One of the things that I often say is that I think Pokemon Snap is probably my favorite representation of Pokemon. And it's because it's the most realistic scenario that you're ever going to see. Like it's the most realistic experience that you're going to ever have interacting with a Pokemon. They're going to react to what you do in a real way. They're going to react to each other in a real way. They're animated in such a way that's like dynamic because they limit themselves to the number of Pokemon in those games, and you're on rails, so they can control the experience much better as opposed to like a huge open RPG where you can go and do whatever. One of the things that turned me off from Sword and Shield so bad was walking out to the wild area and seeing a Gyarados pop out of the water, who's like supposed to be this monstrous, like powerful, huge, like sea monster. And like his turning, he's swimming in the water, but his turning animation doesn't exist. So you see this like lumbering, huge, like twisty cylinder just like pivot with no animation to follow. So it just looks so ridiculous. And I'm like, if this was Pokemon Snap, that would look flawless because you'd be taking pictures of it, but it looks like trash. And it sucks because it's one of my favorite Pokemon and he's there looking like a joke. It looks like a Dreamcast game in a bad way. Like it just looks like unfinished. And those are the kinds of things that I look at and I say like 2D sprites should never have gone away.
Well, it's something I've always been interested in. It's something we could maybe poll our community on, but how many people would be willing to wait the extra time that it takes to create the game they want versus getting something every year? Is everybody that's a big Pokemon fan ready to wait a 5-year dev cycle on a game? Like a good game? I mean, just think of like Breath of the Wild. Are Pokemon fans willing to go 5-6 years to wait for a game?
I mean, we'll see. Arceus,
because that's what they're. Yeah, I mean that's what they're asking for. Well, it is, but
that
could have been developed in that amount of time.
Give us a $30 2D sprite-based game.
Yeah,
or maybe both. Like maybe start up a app on the Switch similar to NSO that just releases, the old Pokemon games periodically. I mean, there's like 30 of them now.
That's not a bad idea because there's a lot to pull from between the Dungeon Explorer series and like pinball and all the card game.
There's all these games that they could pull for to buy time and actually develop, put more development time into a good game. But again, are people willing to wait for it is another issue. Are you going to lose some of your? Because I mean, you got to remember, a 5-year cycle is like a half of a generation of a player.
And keep in mind Pokemon's target audience,
Yeah, I was just going to say
kids. Age 6 getting into Pokemon. Age 11 is when everybody thinks they're too cool for Pokemon. So,
that's what I'm saying.
You got to wait till you're like 18 and then you think Pokemon's cool again.
And then age 30,
I mean, I would play a more well-developed Pokemon game that isn't the same formula. I mean, that's what made Breath of the Wild so good. It broke that tried and true formula that Zelda has had since, Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon needs to do that same thing. They've been running the same story. The games aren't even that much different story-wise from each other. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to face 8 gyms, and then you're going to compete against the
except when they don't do it, and then people don't like that either. I mean, they got rid of the gyms for
the fan base is never going to be happy. The fan base, they limited the Pokemon in Sword and Shield because they physically couldn't animate all of them, and the fan base freaked out. So it's kind of like you can't win.
That's what I'm saying. It's a fragile culture that you can't. I don't think you can.
But I think it's just one of those cases that people don't know what they want, really. Like, they want everything at once, and they know that's not possible, but they assume somehow it's going to happen. We want a Pokemon open world game, and they don't really think through how that would actually work.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if Pokemon Company came out today and said, hey, in 2026 you're going to get a expansive Pokemon game, but you're not going to get any more until then. Like, Arceus is the last game until 2026. I would be totally down for that.
I'd be down for that.
The least.
I know we would, but unfortunately, we are
we're
no
the 30-year-old dudes
that are no longer the target audience for Pokemon.
Yeah, well,
no, we're not.
They can always, license out the property to some. I mean, the Diamond Pearl remakes; those were made by somebody else, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But they also got they got kind of bombarded by criticism for that as well. By doing that
initially, but the games are fine.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
No.
I mean, you can't expect Pokemon's dev teams to spit these games out every year and then be just bangers every time. It's just not going to happen. No studio's doing that.
So what would you ideally and realistically, which seems like counter like an oxymoron, but I promise it's not. Realistically, what do you think Pokemon Company could do that would increase the quality of their games? I'm down for the sprite-based thing. I think if they ditched trying to go all full 3D and they released a $40 game that was totally back to sprites, but it was beautiful sprite-based stuff. Now, I'm not a game developer, so I don't know if polygons are easier to work with than sprites these days. I just don't know. But it seems like they should be able to get more longevity, or they should be able to get more done on that kind of a workload than on a huge 3D game. I don't care what, I don't care about it being 3D. I guess I think that would help a lot. But then you have to think about if they're ever going to make another 3D game again.
I think ultimately it's a matter of either putting in the effort or finding clever ways to work around. I think the issue is that Pokemon Company has an attitude of good enough towards how their games are turning out, because it's got the brand, it'll
It's gonna sell anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have anything to gauge it off of. They could put out whatever they want. It's going to sell millions of copies no matter what.
So, but what do you guys think, to continue the question, what do you guys think Pokemon Company could do to increase the quality of their mainline games? What's something else they could do?
I think breaking the formula even more so than what Sun and Moon did. I mean, I know that they did change things up, but it was still pretty. It's not even like the order of things or the fact that you're facing a gym leader. Like, I want to see major story beats or like change, because they always try to keep it as generic as possible. You're just bebopping around trying to become the Pokemon master. That's literally the story for every game they ever produced.
Right.
See, I like that though. I really don't. I don't understand why people get invested in the story of Pokemon games in the first place, or B, want to be more invested in the story of Pokemon games. It's Pokemon. It's not supposed to be.
I was invested in the story of it when I was 11. Like, so I get that. I get it.
The reason why we're like that is because we know we're going to get one every year. But I'm saying if we had it pushed out to where you didn't get one so often, the story would matter more, I think. If it was more fleshed out.
Or if they were actually like sequels,
the thing to me seems like there's a lot of people who want different things. I'm not somebody who really wants the gameplay to stay the exact same formula, the exact same structure, but just make everything look prettier and make there be a bunch of lore behind it or whatever. But that's apparently something a lot of people want. I'm in the minority for not wanting that.
I like it for some games, but not all.
I think really what they need to do is kind of split the series in a way, because they're kind of flirting with this. Like, there's that debate going on, like, is Arceus its own thing? Is it a mainline game? What even is a mainline game? What are the Let's Go games?
I think it's its own game.
I think to really develop two different, like, split into a continuity of two different things. Like, here we're going to have, one thing which we might call the main series, and we'll have something else where we can experiment. And maybe we'll reintroduce those ideas into the main series if they work really well. That's the hope. But the thing is, at this point, I'm just skeptical if they even will. Will they do any? Even if things in Arceus work well, will they actually use them in? I wouldn't consider it the new generation because there aren't that many new Pokemon, and the ones that there are alterations of existing ones. That to me defines, like, when it's like, okay, we're adding 100 more to the Pokedex. That's a new generation of Pokemon.
Yeah, a new generation to me is a new region, new things. Like, this is a revisit to a same region but a different time period. And like you said, they're not adding a ton of new Pokemon. This is a side game experiment, like what you're talking about. It's not a mainline game. Do you think the wild area will come back? Or will it actually be expanded? Or will it be the same? I don't know.
I honestly don't know. Like,
is the wild area?
They really just have to earn some trust from people at this point, because it's like, oh yeah, they'll probably not do anything with this kind of cool idea that they didn't fully realize. They'll probably just abandon it because that's what they do.
That's what I was gonna say. Is this the next mega evolution of Pokemon? Like, is this the next thing from Sun and Moon where they change the gym situation? And everyone was like, oh, the gyms are gone, and the very next game they're back. It's exactly the same formula as the first.
I think the
games.
Wild areas will stick around because they seem to have been received favorably by fans. I think, to kind of jump back to the original question, I think part of the problem is that as adults who grew up with Pokemon, we are kind of in this space where like I want my grown-up video game, but I want it to be Pokemon, and that's just not what Pokemon makes. And I find myself having to like be okay letting go of Pokemon and saying like, they're not for me anymore. They're for somebody else to enjoy. And I just being okay with that's been difficult because I really want to still experience a new Pokemon game. But if they're not for me, they're not for me. So that's kind of like...
I mean, I kind of like your idea. Give me first-gen Pokemon with different Pokemon and change the puzzles around and make it a new area or something, and then charge less money. Make it sprite-based, like just very easily put out there.
The Pokemon randomizer.
Yeah, because I mean, it's some of it's nostalgia, but some of it's just the Gen 1 Pokemon is just a tried and true, like my kids picked it up and played it and loved it, like the original one, not the remakes. Like they could just, like I bought it for the 3DS for my son. I think he was 5 at the time, and he just loved it. Like he didn't care that it didn't have 3D graphics. He was just having fun. Like it was something new. He was enjoying it.
That's awesome.
And I think you could go back and recreate that same magic with sprite work, like you were saying. And then you wouldn't have complaints about the 3D stuff that you do now, and make it its own thing. It doesn't have to be a mainline game.
But then like part of me also kind of wants them to go all out and make Skyrim Pokemon the video game.
Well, and it's not like they couldn't, I don't think kids wouldn't play that. Like particularly if you're not making the game any more complicated in any way.
It would probably have to be a little more complicated.
Well, I mean, is the gameplay the same? Is it just you have 4 moves, pick one?
Yeah,
maybe
I guess
maybe you would
different.
struggle if you made it very non-linear. It would be confusing to figure out where to go or what to do.
But I guess that's kind of what they're trying to do with Arceus, because it seems to be not a video game, not a Pokemon game, like in any sense. It's very open. The battles are different. Catching is different. So I guess we won't know until we play it, really. But like, I'm waiting until I hear from critics and
well, and if we're talking about spin-offs, though, I mean, a game like, say, Pokken Tournament is not easy to play either. I mean, it's a fighting game. It is a competitive fighting game. Pokemon Unite is basically League of Legends. It's a little bit simpler. It's not as hard, but you boot that game up, you will get schooled.
It's still more difficult than a mainline Pokemon game. That you could ideally...
Well, for that matter, actual competitive Pokemon is incredibly intense.
Yes.
That's the weird dichotomy of the game, is that it is a game that appeals to children, but if you want to actually like make a competitive team, it's ridiculously hard, and they 200 hours in, because that's just the way it works, and you got to get used to it.
There's 1,000 Pokemon you can choose from. You never know what you're going to have thrown at you. That's the problem.
Well, no, I'm just talking about like EV training, breeding for perfect IVs.
Oh, yeah.
This is all stuff that requires a giant time investment. It's just very bizarre to think of a game this simple is also this complicated. And I don't think I don't mean that in a good way of elegant design. I mean that in a they could have made EVs just stat points like literally RPG that you can assign and reassign. But no, they chose to do it this way, so randomly obtuse and obscure.
Crazy.
I think we come to the conclusion that we don't really know how to fix it, and that's why we don't work at Pokemon.
Or like, even does it need to be fixed? Like, is it just okay how it is, and it's just not for us anymore?
It's totally possible.
I think they could totally get away from being annualized, and that would benefit them tremendously.
I think that would curb a lot of disappointment from people.
Big
maybe
time.
Maybe not, because I think we know how rumors work, and people start to build up their expectations based on literally nothing, and then they're disappointed through.
Yeah, but that's, I don't know. You can't really change that. All you can do is make the best game you can.
But I mean, I will say,
it seems like they've been resting in their laurels.
most of the complaints I see are about, visuals. They
Right.
expect, it's people that expected Sword and Shield to look like Pokken Tournament. And
Look, it's an N64.
maybe we need more realistic. Maybe we need a little bit more
But it is
realistic
annoying.
expectations when it comes to the
I don't like playing
Pokemon
it because
character models.
Yeah, that's a huge thing for me.
At the same time, I don't think it's fair to say that that's not a valid complaint, because they certainly could have done better.
Yeah.
And I don't think part of it's time, part of it is just they just need kind of a kick in the pants to say, okay, we can't just fart out a new Pokemon game.
Yeah.
I mean, literally,
listen to sales
Pokemon is the most profitable.
That's what, yeah.
Is the most profitable video game franchise. It does not have a fraction of the budget that other big name video game franchises have. So it's not just the problem of Game Freak isn't doing a good job. It's Game Freak could hire a team 3 times the size that they have. Mm-hmm. And then they probably would do a better job.
Yeah.
But they don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, they make more money by not doing that.
That's their thing. Is that going to yield them a better
more
profit? Money. And the answer is probably not much. So why bother? No. And that's the problem. That's why we're never going to get the Pokemon that we want.
Don't vote with their wallet. They'll buy the game regardless.
Exactly. Which is
They'll
why
buy both versions.
Buy both versions every time, and then complain about it.
What we're really trying to say is stop buying Pokemon games.
Yeah, stop buying Pokemon games, wait 4 years, then buy that one.
Yeah.
When it's twice the price, because Pokemon games, for some reason, are expensive, even though they sll millions of copies.
Some of them are.
Not 2 years later.
Some of them break the rules, though. You could still buy some of the 3DS games for, about what they came.
You could buy Sword and Shield right now for $30 on eBay if you look for it.
Yeah.
Easy. I'm waiting for Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl to go down that low. Anywho, that's our topic for this week. What do you guys think? Do you think Pokemon's fine? Do you like how they are? Do you want them to change? What could change and be better? Hit me up on Twitter at RetroLogic Games or in the Discord, and let me know. If you want to join the Discord, that's also on Twitter. Just hit the link in my bio and you can join up and chat with me. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to do Community Couch, and then we're going to say goodnight. So stick around. Welcome back. We are hanging out on the community couch with you guys. Just chilling. Just shooting the breeze. Doing what we do. Odama-rama is ending soon. Hopefully you've been playing. If not, you could probably still buy a copy and play it. But remember, next Thursday, February 3rd, be available. Be ready to figure out what time it's going to start, because I'll let you know that on one of the channels. And next week on the regular Tuesday podcast. So stay tuned for that. And then also decide what you're going to play for Breath of Fire-bruary. And let's jump into our community couch questions. To kick us off, we've got Oops, who asks us, what's a fair price for Plock? Price charting shows at 25. Doesn't seem like the Plock market has recovered from Plocktober, because all the listings I find are $30 range. And that brings me to my couch question. How long do you think impacts like this last in the markets of specific games? Can they change a standard game price? Can they change a standard game price in the long term? It's a really interesting question. As far as Plock goes, online you're probably not going to pay less than $30 now. But I bet you could find it locally for cheaper.
Plock is priceless.
It's still not widely known as a crazy.
Sell everything you have and buy Plock.
I think Plock is just.
That's your financial advice.
Every Super Nintendo game has gone up 5% or whatever just in the last few months. Yeah, Plock's right there with it.
Well, and I think the thing to remember, more seriously, the thing to remember on price price charting too is that it's usually lagging behind actual prices. So if prices are going up, you're going to have a hard time matching price charting. If prices are going down, then you should have a very easy time beating their price. Right now, a lot of prices are going up.
Almost everything. So get in while you can. The block market is rising. And then the second question, how long do impacts like this last on a market for specific games? Can they change a standard of a game? Absolutely. It takes a while for stuff to come back down because a game is going to sell for what somebody's willing to pay for it. And as we've seen over the last couple of years, people are willing to shell out some pretty ridiculous amounts of money for specific games. So what would need to happen for game prices to come back down? There would need to be like a sudden, like suddenly people are buying less games. There's like a flood of stock in the market. The stock thing.
You do see that occasionally.
What?
The flood of like, especially games from like, seems like there's a lot of NOS stock from like South America or like stuff like that all of a sudden will appear and it will just completely.
There's that one guy who's selling brand new copies of Dokapon Kingdom from Canada. He's still got some
stuff. Yeah, stuff like that.
I think on eBay. That's like very. I mean, like I don't know. He had like a dozen copies, but
yeah, but that's for a specific game. So the likelihood that that's going to happen for the one game you're specifically looking for is very, very, very low.
Yeah. Well, and this is kind of another downside of a tool like price charting existing too, is now that, it says Plock is $25. People are going to feel like they're getting a good deal if they buy Plock for $25 or less. So
yeah,
it kind of perpetuates a high price or slows the rate at which it might go back down because it kind of becomes a standard value for people.
The information is much more easily attainable now than it was like, and it's 5-10 years ago.
A price can shoot up very quickly because, some big name influencer talks about a game or says they like a game or says they bought a game. But it will take a long time for it to go back down after.
Yeah. So,
I mean, price charting can be a tool for getting a deal on a game too. If somebody is very overpriced on a game, you can say, hey, man, look at price charting. Like, this is what the average value of the game is. And sometimes they'll be like, all right, yeah, I see what you're saying. That happened before.
True too. Usually, in order for prices to come down, there has to be a plentiful stock of a game, and they have to be not selling. So right now, everything's selling. It's just a bad time.
I mean, there's kind of the gradual trends you can see when like a system stops being popular to collect for.
Very gradual.
But at the same time, like, I mean, Super Nintendo already had that happen. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think Super Nintendo games will ever be as cheap as Atari games.
No.
There will probably always be people who want them.
Well, not only that, but stock is only going down.
Yeah, but like I do think a lot of GameCube games will probably come down in price. Not to like dirt cheap, but I think, a game like Paper Mario Thousand Year Door that like has sold a lot of copies probably won't always be the price that it is now.
That's good.
Well, and Atari games are also kind of, I mean, I think there's a
not playable.
A big, well, yeah, there's a big gap there. There's like a quality of the game itself. Super Nintendo's not quite there. There's even like kids that are, the next generation of gamers coming in would probably still play a good Super Nintendo game. But like if I gave my kids an Atari game, they'd be like, nah.
Yeah, exactly. But
so
that's
I think
also
a lot of
a
that
thing.
Kind of drives
is that there's a lot more buyers, like there's just a lot of competition for buyers right now. And the next generation's coming up and they want to collect, and people who have collections want to keep their collections. So stock's going down. So I just don't see it going down anytime soon.
Yeah, you're literally playing the very long game, which is like waiting for collectors to die and their children to sell all their stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like a good visual of this is look at the impact it's had on GameStop. This GameStop used to have a, pretty good, decent amount of retro games that you could kind of look through in their store, and then like slowly but surely, there pretty much isn't anything on there now. And a lot of that is due to the same reason of why Dan isn't doing the store anymore.
Very recently.
Nobody's trading their games. Yeah. No one's selling their games. Everyone is a collector now. And
if you're not, you're gonna sell it yourself directly.
Yeah, exactly.
You can get a lot more money if you don't go through GameStop.
Yeah, exactly. I think that whole trade-in system in generation of game stores is kind of gone. Like, I don't think we're going to see that anymore.
But on the other hand, my local retro shop has been booming.
They probably give a little bit better percentage of credit towards.
They do. Well, they do, and because it's such a seller's market right now that like they can't keep games in stock. They'll price things like well above price charting, and they'll still sell.
That's the thing. They can do that as long as the prices are increasing.
Yeah.
If the prices start to decrease, then suddenly they've got a huge problem.
Sure, but he's constantly adjusting his prices. So, which is, it's a good thing. It's a good thing for the local stores.
But yeah, you have to be really clever and know what the market's doing and be ahead of it, basically.
Exactly. Sam, why don't you read Fight Crab Fanatic's question here for me?
All right. Fight Crab asks us this. If you had the power to veto one game from being published, which one would it be? He gives us 6 options. Leisure Suit Larry in Mario World. Number 2, Nintendo Skunks. Number 3, Superman 64 HD Remaster. Number 4, Dr. Mario Surgery Simulator. Number 5, Donkey Kong Dating Sim.
Oh, yeah.
Or number 6, Kingdom Hearts Just Cutscenes Edition. Now, I will note that's an actual thing, so I don't know if that changes my answer. Well, on the collection, when they did the
all-in-one,
it's the 1.5, I think, collection, or the 1.5 plus 2.5, which combines the 2 other collections.
Equals 4.
Instead of the DS game, 358 Days Over 2, yes, that's its actual name. They just did the cutscenes. There is no gameplay for that game. If you select it from the menu, it just plays cutscenes.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I'd have to veto that one just because it's not a game. Like at least the other ones.
I'd choose that one because it actually does exist, and I want it not to.
Yeah, I want to veto it today into not existing.
I certainly wouldn't veto the Donkey Kong Dating Sim because that sounds amazing. Man, I don't know.
No comment.
What would I veto? I guess Superman. I don't care about that. Get that out of here.
Yeah, but at least it's a game. You can play it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't mind watching a Kingdom Hearts movie. I don't like the games at all, so maybe I'd like the movie. I don't know.
Yeah, but you can already do that.
So why would I veto? I have the veto power. Why would I use it on something that exists? I'd use it on something I don't want to exist or would ignore anyway.
That's the thing. Because I say I would do that one because it actually is likely to happen because it did happen.
Yeah, it's already happened once.
Leisure Suit Mario, that's not happening.
Okay, I read this question as like all these games are getting made. Which one would you veto?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'd still do Kingdom Hearts because like all the other ones are still kind of interesting.
I'll go with number 1. I don't need
Leisure Suit
Don't
Larry
do that to Mario.
What if he's just an enemy like in the?
That's hilarious.
I don't need to know what Leisure Suit Larry thinks of the Mario world.
Well, As you guys can hear,
It might ruin some things for me.
As you guys can hear, my dryer is now turned on, so I guess that means it's time to close out the old podcast. John and Sam, thank you guys again for being my co-hosts and helping me run this little thing. You listening at home, thanks for listening to the RetroLogic podcast. We are proudly part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. If you like what you hear, check me out on Twitter and Instagram at RetroLogic Games. You're also welcome to jump into our friendly and 100% non-toxic Discord community. Links to that are in my Twitter bio. And you can find that and everything else over at the website RetroLogic.Games. We've got really cool merch, including Polterguest stickers. We've got links to the community. We've got the Retro Groove podcast, which is a music history podcast. All kinds of stuff going on over there. So please check it out if you would be so kind. As well as the blog which Sam writes for. All that stuff. Go check it out. So that's about it for this episode. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Clicky sticks.
Clicky dryer.
Clicky dryer. Boom.
Anybody got a tinkle? Tankle?
Nope.
Stankle?
Man, too bad I am not doing as good at Prices Retro as I have been doing at picking football game winners this last couple weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm like 90%.
That's crazy.
Did you pick the Bengals to win?
I did.
Wow.
The only one I did so
More
far
so
out
than
of
me as the Cincinnati. Not
so
quite
far
native Cincinnati
out of the playoffs, the only one I
team.
didn't pick right was Bills Chiefs, which almost was right if you didn't see that.
Prior
that
to
game
a
went
couple
down.
weeks ago, the Bengals had not won a playoff game in my lifetime.
Oh yeah, you're born after 91, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Born in 92.
That's a long drought. Dan's like, you guys are talking football. I'm going to eat some soup.
I am. I got soup. Y'all can keep talking. I don't care. When's the Super Bowl?
No, it's the 13th.
They did not put the Super Bowl the day before Valentine's Day. That's messed up.
No, they don't care. Both of them are fake holidays, so.
Well, one's more real than the other. I'll let you decide. Now I'm going to take a drink.
Yeah, Hambone Johnny was calling me Nostradamus. He's like, I think you're cheating somehow, and I was like, it's done on Yahoo. I can't cheat. You have to put your picks in before they start playing. Let's talk some Pokemon.
You guys done at Sports Logic?
Go
Hey,
sports.
anytime you guys want to do Sports Logic, please be my guest. Go.
I really
nuts.
wouldn't have much to contribute.
You
there.
have my blessing. Just don't expect
I
me
only
to
watch-
do anything.
I only watch football. I wouldn't be any good at Sports Logic either.
You and Johnny and Tim.
I'm the weirdo who basically doesn't watch football, and I watch just a little bit of baseball and hockey.
I can't do baseball. I could do hockey, but I don't. There's not a good local team. The Blues haven't been good in a while. I guess they had like 1 year a little while ago, a couple years ago. They did pretty good. I know more about Pokemon. Let's get to that.
Let's do Pokemon.
Pokemon's basically a sport.
Pokemon. Yeah, Pokemon is a sport. Yeah. It's an esport.